Aubrey, we are here to do a very exciting series for All Ears English.
I know. This is going to be so fun, and it's kind of rare that it's you and I that get to do a series for All Ears English. So fun.
I'm so excited. So guys, we are here only on YouTube, only on All Ears English, to do a 3-episode series to help you guys prepare for job interviews. So in this first episode, which is very important, we are going to talk about tips for standing out. Especially today, right? Competition is so fierce that you may be up against 100 other people. So how do you make the interviewer remember you or even notice you?
Yes, exactly. And this is really one of the things that we highlight really well in our business course, where that's what's important, is being able to stand out to get the job that you want when there's a lot of competition these days, especially for good jobs, right?
Totally.
So we want to make sure you guys know about that. If you haven't heard about it, if you haven't looked into it, go to allearsenglish.com/business to check out that course.
Because as we're talking about today, the key to standing out is the preparation, right? It's what you do before the interview to prepare to stand out. It can't just happen magically. So like Aubrey said, there are tons more tips, including interviews with real hiring managers here in the U.S. So definitely go to allearsenglish.com/business to check out that course. So let's get into it. Aubrey, before we get to this role play, so students learn about how they should act on a job interview, let me ask you, have you been on many job interviews?
I have actually had so many job interviews.
Really?
It's kind of crazy. Not because, I'm terrible at job interviews. I just moved so many times that I would have a job, I would interview, get a great job, and then move to Europe. Not that long later, have a great job, and then move back to school, interview, get a great job. And often I worked 2 to 3 jobs at a time because they were jobs that could only provide sort of a few hours. And I needed more, but I couldn't do a full-time job because I was in school. So I had to be pretty flexible with schedules. Anyway, bottom line, I've had a lot of different jobs. So I've had a lot of job interviews. Nailed them. Got a lot of different jobs.
Me too.
I interviewed pretty well, actually.
Before we started recording, I was like, have I had a lot of job interviews? And I thought, no, but that's because I've been working for All Ears English for so long.
For so long.
Like, I haven't had, a for real in-person job interview in a long time. Because everything I do is online now. Like, I don't interview to write a textbook, right? Like, I do a sample unit and I send it in. There's no, face-to-face. But growing up, I for sure had tons of job interviews.
Yeah, when we were younger, right? My most intense job interview ever was when I wanted to do the New York City Teaching Fellows program. It's a lot like Teach for America, if you guys out there are familiar with that. And it's intense. You do several interviews with a panel of teachers, and then you do a teaching demo, and then you do real classroom with an actual class, and all of that you're being interviewed. So it's definitely the sit-down interviews that you imagine where you have to stand out, but then also the teaching demonstrations where you also have to stand out. And preparation really was key for all of that. I practiced all of that. I did it in advance for people, got feedback because I knew the type of competition I was up against. Amazing teachers from all over the world who wanted to do this amazing program. And I had to be prepared.
Totally. Do you think that the demeanor of the interviewer changes a lot? Like, the person that interviews you, demeanor is their attitude and their behavior, right? How they act towards you. Is it always formal? Like, are the interviewers always very, strict and serious?
No, right? It's so different depending on the job. I had interviews for fast food places or for a newspaper once, and the interviews, I kind of never knew what to expect because sometimes it'd be super informal. They're working while they ask me questions. Sometimes it would be like, hey, sit down there. We want you to write a 50-word article and wow us. And that was basically the interview. And then they'd ask a couple of questions. And then, of course, those panel interviews, like, so different. The demeanor of the person interviewing you depends on their personality, depends on what they're looking for, what type of job is.
Totally.
So, yeah, you have to really think about that in advance, too. What type of interview is this going to be? What can I expect?
Exactly. So think about that ahead of time so you know what to wear.
Yes.
That's the first thing. But also, guys, and this is a tip from our business English course, take the cue from the other person. You, as the person being interviewed, the candidate, you should always start off formal and very polite, right? Very formal, very polite. But if the interviewer becomes more informal and relaxed, you should take that cue and you can also become informal and relaxed, right? But always start off formal and take the cue from the interviewer. Straight from the mouth of a hiring manager, that tip. And also, today is so different, right? Because the types of jobs are so different now. It's not just all traditional 9-to-5s that we're interviewing for. You could be interviewing for a freelance position. You could be interviewing for just like a few hours a week, right? Because we live in a gig economy now that many people are just taking a few hours here, a few hours there. And so there are probably a lot of non-traditional interview processes happening. Regardless of the process, the demeanor, the situation, there are certain tips though, guys, that are always true before you try to get any job. So we have 3 tips for you guys for all job interviews, and then Aubrey and I are going to do a role play. So Aubrey, what is the first tip? We've touched on this already, but what's the first tip?
Yes, we touched on that. You should be formal and very respectful until, like you said, the other person gives you that cue of like, nope, this is very informal. And then you can sort of match their level of formality, take cues from them, match their tone and how they're speaking. Definitely you want to come dressed nicely no matter what, treating it like a very formal job interview until you get those cues that, okay, we can be pretty chill here. We're just chatting about our past.
Definitely. And you have to be willing to relax also and match that tone, because if you stay formal and the other person is like,
it's weird,
super relaxed and informal, you're not going to get
It'd
that
be
job,
weird.
guys. It's weird.
No.
Flexibility in English is everything, right? So
Yes.
The second tip, guys, and this is how you stand out, right? Don't give the same answers as everyone else. Don't find these model answers online and memorize them and try to only say what you think the person wants to hear. You don't know that person. You don't know exactly what they want to hear. Your best bet, guys, is to be honest, right? Be honest. Be willing to give details and be honest about your experience, your opinions, your desires, your professional goals. That is how you stand out, guys. Don't sound like everyone else, okay? And
yes, right? Know that you're the right person for that job. Your confidence in that will help you just be yourself, be confident instead of, like you said, Jessica, trying to say what you think they want to hear, what the ideal candidate would say. It will come off as fake and rehearsed and not be impressive. Whereas if you're yourself and let yourself shine and be confident, that's what's impressive.
And here's the thing, like, I remember in some interviews where I'm honest to a fault. Like, I just can't stop myself from talking sometimes. And there were some times where I would give answers, and while I was giving the answer to the interviewer, I was like, oh my God, this is not good. This is not what they want. And the feedback I got from the interviewer was like delight and like a personal connection, right? Show yourself as a person, and the interviewer will remember you as such. So the third tip, this is vital, guys. It doesn't matter what kind of position you're applying for. You have to research the company and the position, okay, before you go to the interview. And if you know who's interviewing you, research that person as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's a chance that they will ask you something like, what about our company makes you want to work here? What about us? And if you have nothing to
Totally.
say, that is not impressive. You want
Exactly.
to have something detailed that shows that you've looked into that company. You actually do have a reason to want to be applying there. That's impressive.
Totally. While you're researching the company and what they do, think about what you like about the company and how you could help them with their goals. These are ideas that you can bring up yourself during the interview, and that definitely helps you stand out and impress. And I know we've mentioned this before, maybe it's in the course, but that's a big reason why Aubrey was our favorite candidate when we were hiring for All Ears English years ago, because Aubrey, you came to us with ideas like from the get-go for things we could do for the podcast, like classes we could teach. And right away from the start, both Lindsay and I were like, that's the one. That's who we want to work with more than anything. So guys, just to mention 3 words so far: demeanor is a great vocabulary word. It's your behavior and attitude. Gig economy. It describes the situation in which many people have a variety of jobs and they just sort of collect and cobble together hours from different jobs, often not signing contracts, right? Very unstable, but flexible. So advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
And then also I want to share one more word before we do the role play: drive. Not drive a car, but drive as in force, right? The drive to do something is your strong motivation to do something. It can also be a verb. What drives you to be a better person? What motivates you to be a better person? So great verb. All right. Let's dig into this role play, Aubrey. So you are going to hear 2 people, of course. Sue is interviewing for an administrative position at a ballet company. All right. So I will be Sue, and Sue Jackson. And Aubrey is going to be Mrs. Clark. So Aubrey, you can start.
All right. Hello, Ms. Jackson. May I call you Sue?
Yeah, that's fine. It's so nice to meet you, Mrs. Clark.
Pleasure to meet you too. Please sit down and tell me a bit about yourself. Are you from around here?
No, actually, I grew up in a little town in Minnesota, and I came here for college when I was 18. I studied business administration at NYU.
Wow, NYU, impressive. Let's dive into the important questions. What makes you a good fit for this position?
Well, besides my degree, I love dance. I started taking ballet lessons when I was 2 years old, and I've never stopped dancing. Honestly, I still cry at the climaxes of performances of The Black Swan and Swan Lake. I have the black and white requirements you can see from my resume, but really it's my passion for the art form that drove me to apply.
Ooh, nice. I like that you're getting personal, right? I think as the interviewer, I would feel that emotional connection because guaranteed in that situation, I also love the Black Swan, Swan Lake. Like you've hit something that we're going to have in common there, something I'm passionate about. And I would probably follow up and ask you more about that, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
good.
guys. So don't be afraid to share yourself because really that's the only way to get the job you want. Right? So I hope, guys, that you are able to apply for jobs that tap that passion, right? Where you can feel satisfied and you can feel the love of what you do every day. Because I know Aubrey and I do, and I think we're very lucky. And we hope you guys can find your dream jobs as well. So Aubrey, what are we going to talk about in the next video in the series so students know what to look forward to?
Yes, we want you to be prepared for common questions that come up in interviews. So we're going to talk about some of these questions, how to answer them, so that you're ready to nail your next job interview.
So definitely, guys, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video in this series. Watch today's video a couple times, and if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments or email us, support@allearsenglish.com. All right, Aubrey, so fun being on All Ears English with you.
Yes, I'll see you next time.
Bye!
Bye.